Dear Mr. President, this video is being produced specifically for you, even though I'm sure many others will watch it. Let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm an expat South African and have a YouTube channel where I try and help South Africans who are facing a genocide. And I'm talking specifically about the white South Africans. I'm an expat South African. I empathize totally with what is going on in their country. I believe there already is a civil war, black on black, happening in that country. And when I was young, I witnessed firsthand the violence that even a Zulu group can do to a black Zulu group in the Tugela River Valley area in Natal. They had faction fights where one village would literally pick up their pangas and their knobkerries, which is like a big stick, and they'd go and slaughter all the men in the neighboring village. Violence is a huge part of the African way of life. Unfortunately, this is a fact. Now, the reason I'm putting this short video together is because I want you to watch what Cyril Ramaphosa says about land expropriation without compensation to you, and what he says about white farmers being murdered in South Africa to you. And then after that, I will play two short clips which completely discredit his claims. White South Africans are living in fear, Mr. President. They live behind huge walls, electrified fences. They have bars in their houses to stop people who break in to get into their bedroom. They're living in a huge amount of fear. They're living in jails. They don't know if they're going to survive every night. It is really bad, Mr. President. And the only person they can depend on now, they believe, increasingly, is you. Your intervention, your being involved somehow. The tweet you sent out about white expropriation without compensation being wrong and white farm murders was right on the money, even though the fake news in America made out like it wasn't happening. It is, Mr. President, and here is the proof. Let's start off with what Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, has to say. Here we go.
We were seated together at the lunch table, so we never really got time to talk about the tweet. It was just an opportunity to shake hands, to say how are you and all that. But on the tweet itself, he was clearly misinformed. And whoever gave him that information was completely wrong. There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa. There's no land grab in South Africa.
Okay, just to clarify his statement, Mr. President, what I'd like you to watch now is the comment by that same gentleman, the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, where he says in Parliament just a couple of months ago that there will be expropriation of land without compensation. In other words, Mr. President, on that comment that he made to you, he lied. Here we go.
Out of South Africa, a point that you also agree with, particularly land expropriation without compensation. Our people are now subject
Land. Now, there is also land that is owned by individuals, as I said in my main report, main answer. Some of it is held for speculative reasons. Some of it is just lying fallow. And we are saying our entities, our local governments must examine all that so that we can package pieces of land like that and then be able, on an informed basis, to determine how we should deal with land like that. Now, all that will be done in an orderly fashion, in accordance with our Constitution, in accordance with the convention that we should establish in dealing with land. And I believe that we can now embark on a very positive process of ensuring that we make true the promise that we made, that we want our people to have a better life, and doing so means that we should give them places where they can live, and they should live and work closer to the economic centers of our country. So, if you like, we are a democratic process that we are currently involved in. No communication was received by my office from the government of the United States of America regarding the expropriation of land without compensation. However, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation did meet with the Charge d'Affaires of the United States Embassy on the 23rd of August regarding comments made by President Donald Trump on Twitter. The Charge d'Affaires was urged to convey to the government of the United States South Africa's deep concern and to point out that the people of South Africa, of all races, are working together through Parliament and indeed a number of other formations and legal platforms to find a solution to this historic challenge. South Africa remains ready and willing to engage with any country in the world or international agency or organization on its approach to land reform. Just a day or two ago, our Minister of...
And Mr. President, perhaps even more disturbing is the claim by Cyril Ramaphosa that there are no white farm murders. Let me give you some facts. There have been 356 farm attacks so far this year and 48 murders so far this year. And just on the 14th of October, a few days ago, a couple were at Colgan's Dam, which is near Fochville in Gauteng province, which is the northern province near Limpopo region, and they were on a fishing trip. And they got attacked by a gang of Africans. This is a white couple. The man was 58, and he was beaten to death with a rock. The lady, who was 52, had her knees, feet, and hands broken so she couldn't move by the same group before they left. This is the group of Africans left with a small amount of cash and the mobile phones that they stole. This is the reality that whites are facing in South Africa, Mr. President. And I'm now going to play you a video clip which is the first-hand account of a farm murder. And this is the wife of the farmer who was murdered, who witnessed the attack. So, Mr. President, the message I'm giving you is Cyril Ramaphosa is lying to you, and that white South Africans need your intervention. Otherwise, there is going to be a genocide.
This message is for President Ramaphosa and the good people of America. President Ramaphosa recently stated very casually in New York to the media that there are no killings of white farmers in South Africa. There are no farm murders. Really? My name is Mariandra Yennes, and I'm a survivor of a farm attack. My husband was shot 6 times during such an attack. He was murdered in cold blood in front of me and my 6-year-old daughter. He was shot 6 times, and the last one was in the head. I had to pick up our broken life after that. I had to give birth to our 4th child, our son, 5 days after Daddy's funeral. These attacks do happen. It happens almost daily. Our story is one of thousands. What would you do if it happens to you or to your loved ones? What would you do if you had to raise 4 little children alone after your husband was murdered in cold blood and they stole nothing? How would you feel if you had to slip in the blood of your loved one? The smell of it seeping through the floors of your house, the house you were supposed to be safe in. These attacks happen, and it happens to good and normal people. What would you do if this happened to you? What would you do if your government denies that it happens? Would you keep quiet? So I ask you, the people of America, to help us to share this message, to help us to spread awareness of these farm murders, because they do happen. We appeal to you to help us.
In closing, Mr. President, I would just like to mention that I've put a couple of links down below where your staff can contact groups like Saatlanders and AfriForum and get first-hand accounts of what is actually going on in South Africa. And I do really appreciate your support, because no one else is helping these white South Africans, and they are living in fear. Thank you, Mr. President.